Welcome back. At Gamescom 2025, LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight was announced after weeks of speculation, and well, it looks awesome. As someone who grew up on the LEGO Batman games, this is a dream come true. A game honing in on the Dark Knight's movies appearances and taking us through those stories with that classic LEGO humour, sounds and looks absolutely peak. Today though, I wanted to try my hand at something very different from my usual content, with a little trailer analysis going through the various FAQs, leaks, and the gameplay to see what we know so far regarding this game. Because when I say I'm excited, I mean excited. I haven't watched anyone else's videos on this so far, so these are just my initial thoughts, wishes, and analysis of the first few things we know about the game. It's going to be awesome. Before we begin, I want to thank Lemon1119 for his help in researching this video. I don't have a Twitter account because, well, it's Twitter, and he's been a lifesaver in the Discord server, which you can join in the description or channel bio. So most things I'll show you here were sent to me by him. Thank you, King, and thank you to everyone in the Discord who helped with this video. Things were coming out thick and fast when I was writing the script, so thank you all for keeping your boy in the loop. And with that, let's jump into the trailer. Right off the bat, see what I did there? A little thing, this suit up scene seems very Batman and Robin inspired, the turning of the arm once it's in the suit, the gadget grabbing, so I really hope we get some kind of Batman and Robin, or at very least Schumacher inspired levels. LEGO have just released the Batman Forever Batmobile this month with an exclusive Val Kilmer figure, so yeah, as a fan of those films, their inherent goofiness, I do hope we get that. We then get this really cool scene in a shipping container, which takes heavily from the Batman, specifically that really cool scene where he's being shot at down the corridor, and the only thing lighting the scene of the gunshot, so that's really cool. And then we got our first look at the full Battinson suit. Now, I think this looks really good. My only gripe would be the cowl, but it's nothing I'm going to harp on for any longer than that. I think this model looks amazing. We got our first look at Batman Begins here as Bruce falls down the well, which is quite cool, and then we see Bruce scaling a mountain in the Himalayas to find the League of Shadows, and then we see some grappling gameplay, which looks awesome. I've seen a bit more since I've written the script, and it looks so smooth. It looks very Arkham, which is something I'll probably be saying a lot as we go through this trailer. I do hope it's like Arkham in the sense you can grapple up to any point you want within reason, as we move on to Bruce's training, and I'm so glad we'll get to play this. The training sequence in Begins is such a cool sequence, and so I hope I get to play through this all, if not a cut down version of these events. This could work as an awesome tutorial level, which I'm going to assume that's what it'll be. Something akin to the Initiation DLC from Arkham Origins would be unreal to get us to grips with the new control scheme. We then got our first look at Alfred, and he spills coffee and it comes out to be a bat symbol. I love little stuff like this. Like, I'm sure that in the full cutscene this will be mentioned or hinted at a bit more, but I just found that so funny. And then we got our first look at Gotham in this scene, where Batman builds the bat symbol. Now, I don't know if this is just the Arkham YouTuber and me talking, but behind Batman there looks very similar to old Gotham in Arkham Origins. I can't explain it, and I have no proof as to whether it is or not, but it just screams Origins to me, which is really nice. Bats then runs and glides off the building, which looks so smooth, which I'm happy about. It's nice to see it won't be, like, clunky to execute a glide off a building. And we also get to see the bat symbol in the sky. My first thought when I saw this was that it would have been some sort of way to get new missions or new movies started. Like, you build the Battinson one, you start that movie, you build the 1989 one, you start that movie. But recent revelations about the story have kind of killed that theory, which I'm a little bit sad about because I thought that would have been really cool. But here's one of the coolest parts of the trailer. It's our first real look at Gotham, and wow does it look good. It gives me serious Gotham Knights vibes. That game might have been the most okay game ever, but its Gotham was gorgeous, and that's what this shot looks like. And it just makes me think of it. The neon lights, the smokes, the civilians roaming about, it just looks so damn good. A few little things I noticed here. In the bottom left, a grocery store called Romero's Grocery, which obviously has to be a reference to Cesar Romero, the 1966 Joker. We then see a sign saying welcome to Kingston, and for those of you who know your Arkham Knight map, you'll know Kingston also appeared there. Shirley's music is one of my favourite references here, referring to the legendary Shirley Walker, the woman behind the animated series score, which to this day is absolutely unmatched. There's a deli on the bottom right, but I couldn't make out the name on it. I think it says Malone's Deli, and if it is, that could very likely be wrong, but if it is, that could be a reference to Matches Malone, who obviously is one of Bruce Wayne's oldest aliases. We can also see the Bit Cave. That has no relevance, it's just a fun nod. There's also, way off in the distance, a Falcone shipping billboard in the city, so that's quite fun. One final thing in this section is to the bottom right, it looks like there could be some sort of bat cache containing a reward. We'll touch more on them later, but I assume they're going to give points, which then get you a new suit for a character, a red or gold brick, that sort of thing. And when we get into the FAQs a little later, we can see there will be challenges in the open world, so I assume this is going to be a reward for completing one of them. Maybe the final reward that you have to go and collect your final reward, or maybe just one of the little ones you have to, incrementally collect to get to the final reward. Our next scene sees Batman in a stealth encounter against some goons, and he uses this game's version of detective mode, which looks like it just outlines enemies for a short time rather than keeping them in your vision the whole time like detective mode. I also think it's fun to notice that wire walking will be a thing. The stealth here is very obviously Arkham inspired, which is amazing. We then see what looks like a takedown, and we get the classic bat fight words, this one reading chud, which was pointed out to me last night, and that's pretty funny. In this same area, we get a look at some of the new combat, and it's pretty clear we're getting some Arkham style free flow combat, which is amazing. If this is done well, this will be just about perfect in every way. And in the background, we can see a container reading Cord Industries, which is the company owned by Ted Cord, the Blue Beetle. So does that hint at a possible Blue Beetle appearance? Well, probably not. I don't know how that would work in concept, but it would be cool. We then see the Tumbler in full force, which is really, really badass. If the driving is as good as the combat looks, this is going to be such a fun vehicle to drive. And I can't wait to see if the Batpod can come out of the Tumbler. I know it's in the game, but if it can come out of the Tumbler, this has won my Game of the Year nomination already. Ace Chemicals makes an appearance, and we see more grappling, so perhaps in the open world you can just grapple to wherever you want, which I think has been confirmed since, so that's really cool. And we then see Bats and Gordon, both in there, the Batman looks gliding down somewhere, and we see Red Hood probably about to fall into a vat of acid, and then our first look at Heath Ledger's Joker, who looks awesome. Before, in my favourite thing about this trailer, we see quick fire gadgets being used, as Batman reels someone in with the Batclaw and takes them out, which is just wonderful. We then see Batman swinging through this exploding building, saving Gordon from whatever the hell's going on here, and then we got our first look at Max Shreck's building from Batman Returns. Now that is a really cool place to put in this game. We also see Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman and the 1992 Batsuit, both of which look awesome, especially Catwoman. I've got most of the figures that have appeared in this trailer, like in real life. I haven't got a 92 Catwoman, so I really want that. I just love this design for her. We got our first look at some Joker goons, including two Brutes, and I like these designs. They're understated while kind of keeping the Joker goon looks. We do see that Batman can slide beneath these guys in the same way he can slide beneath Bane in Arkham Asylum, before he uses a frying pan to take him out, which is fun. And we then get this pretty extensive look at what it's like to fight these Brutes in-game, using dodges to get out of their way before taking them down, akin to the Arkham games, which I like a lot. This is really cool, and it looks like it'll be a challenge to take these boys down. Then we got a first look at Explosive Gel, which again, wow, this is so cool. And if the gel has multiple uses like in Arkham, this is going to be one of the most fun gadgets in the game. Imagine quick firing this gel and blowing a thug up and he kind of just comes apart. That will never get old if that's a feature here. And then we get this really cool recreation of the car chase scene from the Batman, and this scene is as cool in LEGO as it is in real life. Before the trailer finishes it off with Bane, voiced by Matt Berry, in a kind of big fig version of his Dark Knight Rises look, which just looks awesome. Like, I'm not a huge fan usually of that LEGO Bane specifically, but putting him as a big fig just looks really cool. Now the trailer's over with, let's talk about everything else, probably what you're here for. Story-wise, this game is one continuous story, and not something akin to the Skywalker saga, where you play through the different films. I think this game's going to be a sort of original story, with the highlights of each film showing game they choose, sprinkled in, which sounds really cool. Interchangeable suits are also confirmed, hence why we see the Batman, Burton, the Dark Knight, all of those suits throughout the game, with the Golden Era suit actually being available to those with a WB account, and a few other suits which we'll look at later. As we can see in the final scene of the Penguin chase, that Penguin is Danny DeVito's Penguin, not Colin Farrell's, so like, I think the character designs and characterizations will be what we saw throughout the trailer. It'll be Ledger's Joker, Pfeiffer's Catwoman, Jeffrey Wright's Gordon, etc., but the Batman we play as will be the same throughout the story. This obviously makes a lot of sense both in gameplay and development wise, hiring like 7 different voice actors for Batman across his different interpretations would be very costly, and in gameplay all of the Batmen would have to play differently, so it makes sense just to make one sort of omni-bat who can cover all bases. I really like this. I think as LEGO game fans we play through a lot of movies, with Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Avengers, etc, and having the chance to play through the highlights of them while also getting a semi-original story with those moments in will be awesome, and personally I'm really excited for it. We also get some gameplay which is really cool. We see Batman fighting the Red Hood gang, and the first thing that stood out to me was the beatdown. Again, the Arkham influences are strong with this one, but the combat just looks so fluid and fun. I was a little bit bummed that I didn't get invited to go out and play it. Obviously that's a joke, Warner Brothers don't even know I exist, but this looks really fun, and if anyone has actually played it, please let me know in the comments, because I need to know. I hope there's some sort of critical strike type thing in place to add some rhythm to it all, because that'd be super cool, but obviously I'm not going to cry if there isn't. This gameplay also confirms quickfire gadgets will be in here in some way, and from what I've seen since writing this script, quickfire gadgets look pretty prevalent. They look like they can be used a lot. You can aim the Batarang, I know you can use the Batclaw, you can use Gordon's weapons. It looks really extensive for a LEGO game, which I'm really looking forward to. I then wanted to touch on the different difficulty levels we know are in the game. There's Caped Crusader and Dark Knight mode. From sources within the event, we know that we have Normal, which is the sort of classic LEGO experience, then Caped Crusader, which says it offers a more combat-focused experience, with the special enemies appearing more often, however you still will have unlimited lives, and then finally the Dark Knight mode offers a harder combat challenge, more enemies and more advanced enemies will appear more frequently, and the biggest change is limited lives. Now this is interesting, so a mode like this has never been seen in a LEGO game before, so it'll be interesting to see how many deaths you can have before you have to reset completely. I believe it's 3, but I could be wrong. It all depends how hard the combat is and if the bosses will have the ability to one-tap you, because if they do, 3 lives just won't be enough, but from what I've heard, I believe it's 3. Take that with a pinch of salt. Now, moving on to the FAQs, they're really interesting. I won't go in depth with them all here, but the ones that interested me a whole lot were as follows. The first one I wanted to look at says, which characters will be playable in LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight? And it says that LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight will feature 7 playable characters, including Batman, Jim Gordon, Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl, Catwoman, and Talia al Ghul. Each character is also equipped with unique skills, combos, and gadgets, like Batman's Batclaw, Jim Gordon's foam sprayer, Robin's line launcher, and Catwoman's whip. So, it seems we're going to have the smallest roster of playable characters ever. However, I did read somewhere, and I can't find this for the life of me now, so again, take this with a pinch of salt, but we will be getting more playable characters and even more villains. So for all my Killer Croc fans out there is still a glimmer of hope. It's interesting Talia is on here. I mean, like, really interesting. Out of all characters, why her? Well, we can only speculate, but she must have a large part to play in the story at some point. I also think this woman in the background of the trailer could be Talia, and she's like sort of the player 2 of Bruce's training era. That's my best guess, and I really like the idea that everyone has their own unique gadgets. Batman has the claw, Robin has the line launcher, which I'm really interested to see in action. I'm also interested which Robin will get. It won't be Dick, considering Nightwing's also a playable character, but Tim or Damian would be really cool. I also hope we get Jason as Red Hood in future DLC, but as for the main game Robin, we'll just have to wait and see. I think having a smaller roster will allow each character to feel unique, and I'm all for that. It's all very well having a roster of 900 characters, but when they're all variations of the same 15, it seems a little excessive. I'm a huge fan of the big rosters, but I'm excited to see how this plays out with it being more compact and focused. As far as customization goes, we seem to be able to pick outfits from any era and play the whole game with them. ComicFan13 in the Discord, which you can join down below by the way, sent these really cool pre-alpha screenshots showing off the Brave and the Bold skin, the Rainbow Batman, the Dark Knight, the Batman, and the first appearance suit. They're all the suits I know of currently, but plenty more are locked, and I'm sure as the months go on we'll see more. As a bonus, these suits will work in every cutscene, which is awesome. It'll just mean the immersion won't be broken when Batman suddenly switches outfits into a cutscene. So this customization will be present across each character, not just Batman, with confirmation of alternate Gordon suits as well. Here's a little list I've kind of compiled of my personal wish list for suits, and I'd love to hear yours down below. This is just a really quick list I put together. There's obviously so many cool suits, and we don't know how many of these will just be in the main game. But I've got Long Halloween Catwoman, Nightfall Nightwing, Dark Knight Jim Gordon in his body armor, which I'd be surprised if it isn't in the game, classic Lego Batman Robin, an absolute Batman suit, Batman's Hush shoe, an Injustice Batman, obviously a Beyond suit, Batman Incorporated, Red Robin, Chris O'Donnell's Robin, the hooded balding Robin from the Arkham games, an animated series Catwoman, and a Jim Balent Catwoman suit, and like hundreds of other outfits for each character. I'd be happy with half of them, honestly. While we're touching on the customization though, the Batcave will be fully customizable, with the player being able to display suits, different vehicles, trophies, and more. We don't know too much on this yet, but nevertheless, this is awesome. The next thing I wanted to touch on was the villains. The FAQ asks which villains will players face in LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight, and it tells us that players will face off against Gotham City's most notorious DC supervillains, including the Joker, the Penguin, Poison Ivy, Ra's al Ghul, Bane, and more. There's not much more to add on to this, but I do hope we get Croc in some capacity. I don't care where, but if he's not in the game at all, I will riot. It would also be awesome to see Mr. Freeze if they go down the road of the Schumacher films, which would be really cool, and with Poison Ivy being confirmed, it's a distinct possibility. Obviously, we also know BTAS is appearing in this game, so maybe we get Mr. Freeze in there. I know LEGO have recently been on a run of Mr. Freeze BTAS figures, so that would be really cool, but again, nothing's confirmed. The final question I wanted to read though was regarding the story, and it says, will LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight have an original story? It says, LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight invites players to embark on Bruce Wayne's epic journey to become the hero of Gotham City, featuring a story-led campaign from origin to legend, bringing together iconic moments from the Caped Crusaders' 86-year history in film, television, comic book, and games, and jam-packed with Batman nostalgia, DC lore, and TT Games' signature brand of fun-filled LEGO humour. I think the wording here is very smart, but if we actually kind of read into it a little bit, bringing together iconic moments kind of confirms our suspicions, which I'm so happy about. It's going to have everything from movies, comics, shows, and games kind of all molded into one, which would be awesome. And playing through the highlights wrapped in an original story, hell yeah. I'm interested to see which comics and TV shows they pull from. I guess they mean like BTAS, Brave and the Bold, and 1966, but the Batman Beyond? Sign me up. The rest of the FAQs confirm that we will have drivable Batmobiles and bikes, which we obviously already knew, but it does say range of vehicles including, so maybe that means we'll get like a Batwing or a tank or something. I don't know if that's wishful thinking, but that'd be awesome. And while we're on the subject, vehicles will be seemingly playing a big part in the game, with the trailers already showing us the Tumbler and the 2022 Batmobile, but we can also see the blanked out looks for the BTAS Batmobile, the Batpod, the Batman vs Superman Batmobile, and the Batman Arkham Knight Batmobile. Now this is huge and basically confirms our suspicions that we will be getting some Arkham content in this game, which is amazing. This is further confirmed by DC's recent poll, where they asked fans what they were most looking forward to eras-wise, and well, Arkham was right there. So yeah, mark your calendars, ladies and gentlemen, Man and Bin will be back. We also know the consoles it's available on, which are the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X and S, the Switch 2, and the PC, and that the game will have an open world with challenges, puzzles, crimes to stop, which really interests me, especially if they're like Origins crimes in progress, and obviously the plenty of hallmark locations we're all accustomed to. So this means that this world's Gotham won't be like an exact rebuild of an existing one, it'll be like an original build of the city, which I'm really excited to explore. We also know Riddler challenges are apparently making a comeback. The inclusion of Riddler challenges makes me happy. I know, controversial, but they're cool to collect and I think they're fun. I just hope there aren't as many as there are in Arkham City. We've also seen bat caches and Penguin's rubber duckies, which sound really fun. I assume the more you collect of them, the closer you get to one big reward, which could be anything from a new suit to a stud multiplier, so it would be interesting to see how they work. I'll link all the FAQs in the description so you can look at them for yourself, but they're the bits I thought were kind of super important to cover. So as far as I'm aware at the moment, without going through every bit of gameplay and analysing frame by frame, that's all we know about Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight so far. And if you know anything else, please share it below. This channel's recently dove into the LEGO Batman world, and this announcement has well and truly pushed us down the LEGO Batman well, so to speak. It's shaping up to be the ultimate love letter to the Batman movies and the LEGO Batman franchise as a whole, and I cannot wait to get my hands on this game next year. And despite having no official release date as of right now, a day or two after the announcement, I just hope they take their time with it and don't rush it to meet deadlines, because this game game has real potential to be something truly special. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you think of Legacy of the Dark Knight and what you want from the game. I'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed it, and goodbye. Oh yeah, also Condiment King's in the game. I'm not kidding. It's on. They confirmed it in an interview. It's on IGN's Instagram Reels if you want to go watch that. Yeah, Condiment King's in the game. Yippee!